Hey guys, so I'm gonna quickly film a little casual wet-haired intro for you. So I sat down and I filmed a video on anxiety, and that video ended up being super long, so I decided to split it up into two parts, and you're about to watch part two. So if you missed part one, you can go back and watch it, but I think part two is what you're going to really wanna see, because in this video, I talk about what I do in a day when I'm in a rut, when I'm in a funk, when I'm in a low vibe headspace, how I get out of that quickly. I used to have a lot of anxiety and depressive episodes where they would last for a long time, and I've really figured out how not to stay at those low points very long anymore. I bounce right back out of them, so I'm gonna share with you how I do that. If you enjoy this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button. Also, I did leave 2 pointers from part one in part two just because they were really important parts, and they were 2 big tools that I use. They're huge, so those will be at the beginning of this part two video, just heads up. But yeah, it's gonna start a little abruptly, so let's just get into it.
What is it that I need? Why am I freaking out? Why am I feeling so low? What is this anxiety trying to teach me? So with that, really the first step I take to try to get out of that negative headspace is just being curious of why I'm feeling this way. Instead of trapped up in our heads and all of those thoughts and spiraling the scenarios, all of that, try to distance yourself from all those hectic thoughts and question, why am I feeling this way? There's one thing that I've learned in my coaching certification program. It's called noting. Noting is when you try to look at what you're thinking from a bird's eye view. It's not like disassociation, but just stepping back and noticing all the thoughts and all the stories you're creating in your head. A lot of the time, those thoughts are things that we're just making up, scenarios we're making up, and all of that is not real. Those are just projections that most likely are not going to happen. But if we continue to think these things, it is also not going to lead to anything good. Notice those stories and be like, oh, that is so interesting that I'm my mind's going there. I wonder what that's from, and question it. Another thing that I do is feel the sensation in my body. So when I'm in one of those headspaces, what is my body physically feeling like? My body is usually feeling super anxious. My heart might be pounding more, and my chest is constricting, and my throat is constricting, and I'm not taking deep breaths because I just feel so tight. When you're thinking about the physical sensations, and that's where you're putting your focus, you're not so much thinking of all of those unnecessary thoughts. You're putting your focus on what's physically happening to my body in this moment. So that's another tool you can use, and that's a tool that really helps me, just putting the focus on the physical sensations and knowing that, okay, those are just physical sensations. They're okay. Oftentimes, if you just breathe into them, it will loosen them up. Another thing, meditation. I do meditation every single day. You guys know this. I will wake up, and especially if I wake up feeling anxious right away, I will first sit there and tell myself, I'm choosing to have a good day. I'm choosing that this is going to be a good day, and I'm only accepting positive experiences just to set my intention that way. And then every morning, I do a guided meditation every single morning. It's a daily practice. It's not you just do it one time and then you think oh, that didn't work for me. My thoughts are still out of control, and then you give up on it. No. It takes a long time to build up the calming effect. So if I'm in an anxious state, maybe I'll look up an inner child meditation, or just a mindfulness meditation, or something along the lines of that. But every morning, do meditation. That's a huge thing. I'll also just continue on with self-care throughout the day. You guys know that I'm very much into my journaling. So I will do my scripting, but with my emotions. So if I'm feeling really heavy and anxious, I journal things like, I'm so grateful for all of the love and balance in my life. I'm overflowing with joy. I'm grateful for all of the supporting people in my life. Just things like that. I journal about how I want to feel, like the best version of myself, how she wants to show up and how she wants to feel, even though at that moment, that's not how I'm feeling. So that's where I put my focus on those days with my scripting. Another huge thing for me, my CBD oil. You guys know I love CBD oil. I take it daily just for general anxiety management, but when I have like the occasional anxiety attack or, rough stretch of a couple days, it is really key. I'll take even more than I normally take just to really help calm me down. And the thing is, it will physically help the sensations that come along with anxiety, like the tension in the chest and the throat and the physical sensations. But I do still have to, get my thoughts under control on my own. But it is so much easier to manage your thoughts when you don't have that excess physical tension in your chest that you get with anxiety. I use Soul CBD and I actually have a discount code if you want to try it out for yourself, 10% off if you use Annie10 at checkout. And no, they did not ask me to put this in this video. I genuinely use this CBD oil every single day and it helps me out. So I think that it can help a lot of other people out as well. So if you want to check it out, link will be in the bio. Another thing that I've been doing as of recently that has been so amazing, getting outside every day, going on like at least a 30-minute walk outside, breathing the fresh air, trying to get present. That is the key. To not be in your thoughts, you have to be in the present moment. And I used to not even really understand what being present meant. I just thought like, yeah, I'm physically right here. Of course I'm present. Like, present, here, teacher, I'm present. No, being present is not being caught up in your thoughts, not living in your little fantasy or horror world that's in your head, but actually being mentally here in the physical moment. Like I can feel the blankets, I can, see the colors, I'm here, I'm present, I'm not stuck up in my head. A great way to get present, well, you can do it anywhere, obviously, but I love just going on a walk and instead of walking and being up in my head, walking and being in the moment, looking at the plants, looking at the color of the sky, looking at all of the flowers, feeling the breeze on my skin. Like it makes me so happy and feel so alive just to be in the present moment outside. Like look at the things that you normally would just not even be focusing on. We go outside and we walk and we don't even pay attention, but when you actually can just pay attention, it just feels so good. And we think of like natural colors being like the color of dirt or just like neutral tones. But I was outside and I'm like looking at all these flowers that are magenta and orange and yellow and blue and just bright pink and all of these vibrant colors. And I'm like, those are natural colors. I don't know. I just found that to be really cool. Like I would never look at those colors and think like, that's a natural color. No, but they are. That might seem super weird, but really, I'll be walking and I'll just be like looking at all the plants and the trees growing. Like I'm in my apartment having my thoughts spiral out of control, creating all these fake dramas in my head, and all these plants are just chilling out here growing, doing their thing. I'm like, I can learn a lot from a plant. They can just grow and just like be. They don't have to be all spastic and hectic like we are. So yeah, I've been really liking my walks. Speaking of walks, this is leading to another thought. I listen to podcasts, and one of the podcasts that I've been listening to is my coach, Samantha Skelly's podcast. It's called Hungry for Happiness. That's also the name of my coaching certification program. Highly recommend filling your brain with positive, uplifting, useful information like her podcast. I was actually listening to one of her episodes today on natural mental health medicine and healthcare and whatnot. And the doctor who was on that episode was saying like one of the best things you can do for your mental health is go out and do something like a walk for 30 to 45 minutes a day. Like that's really good for your mental state. He also said meditation, which I said that as well. Definitely recommend though Hungry for Happiness by Samantha Skelly, my personal coach. If you want to learn from the person who's been fueling my mind, listen to her podcast. The other podcast that I love and listen to on the regular is Angie Lee's podcast, who's also the co-owner of my CBD that I use, Soul CBD. Her podcast is The Angie Lee Show. Just search Angie Lee on like Spotify or iTunes, and her podcast is amazing. Although I know I do need to face my own emotions and like figure out why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. But if I am going to fill my brain with something, it's going to be something positive, like one of their podcasts or a personal development book. I read personal development books daily. That's another good thing. Like, fill your mind with things that are going to help you grow. One of the issues that we have is we tend to numb out and like try to distract from our emotions. So for me, way too often try to distract myself when I'm feeling bad, and I'll go on Instagram and like scroll through Instagram, because if I'm scrolling through Instagram, I don't need to focus on my problems. Or I'll binge watch Netflix. I'm very guilty of that every night, and that is another distraction. Some people overwork. Some people literally get addicted to working so they don't have to face their reality and their emotions, and they just dive into their work and they don't have to pay attention to how they're feeling. Some people binge eat. Some people drink too much alcohol, and too many people go for things to numb or distract from their issues, when really the only thing to fix and heal your issues is to face it. What we resist persists. So another thing that I tend to do is avoid. If I have an issue, I will avoid that issue. Like, I don't want to answer that person's calls or messages, because if I do, then I have to deal with that difficult conversation, and I would rather avoid it. I would do that back in high school. If I felt like embarrassed about something, or like some stupid like high school drama, I would literally fake sick to avoid having to deal with the issue. Like, if I just avoid it, it'll calm down and then I'll be fine, because people will forget about it. But the thing is, when you avoid things and you don't face it, it's just gonna continually come up, and you're gonna continually try to avoid it, but then it's gonna come back until you face it. That's the thing. We get the same lessons in life over and over and over and over and over again until we learn from it. So that's why I think it is important in these low spaces in life not to do the things to numb or avoid, but to figure out why you're feeling this way and work through it and heal it. Whew, I am word vomiting all over the place. This is gonna be a long one. So with that being said, this information has kind of been all over the place, but focus on your self-care and your mental health and work through it. And there are so many other steps you could take, but this video would be even longer than it already is, which is already really, really freaking long. But I hope you've gotten something out of this. I cannot wait until I actually start coaching people, because that is when I can actually take people individually and go more in depth to this. It's kind of difficult when it's just me sitting talking to a camera, but for now, I'm just trying to help as many of you as I can through videos. So I hope something that I said in this video maybe helped you in some way. If there's anything that I've been talking about in this video, or anything you want me to go more into detail about, let me know down in the comments, or if you have any questions. Also, if you're not following me on Instagram, I'm very active over there. I've been going live. I share a lot of this kind of information in my stories and in my posts, so I would love to have you over there. But that is all I have for today's video, and I will see you very soon with a new one. Bye guys.